The hospitality and tourism sector was among the industries immediately hit by the onset of COVID-19 in the country. 15 months later, what has been the impact of the pandemic on the industry that brings in a lot of foreign currency for the country? Florence Ndongo had a sit-down with the chair of the Tourism and National Resources Committee at the Council of Governors, Samuel Ole Tunai, who is also the governor for Narok County that hosts the best game reserve in the world, the Masai Mara Game Reserve.
Hello and welcome, whatever it is that you're watching us at this hour. My name is Florence Ndongo. In today's segment, we'll be talking all about the ripple effect of COVID-19 pandemic in the tourism industry. And to help us dissect this all-important issue, I'm glad to be joined by Narok Governor Samuel Ole Tunai. He will be telling us also in his capacity as the chair of the Tourism and National Resources at the COG, the current status of tourism in the country. But Governor, thank you so much for granting us this time to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Florence. It's a pleasure to have me on this interview. So, karibu sana.
Asante sana. I'd like to know, before we even delve deeper into this issue, currently after over a year of battling with COVID-19, what would you say is the current status of the tourism industry in the country?
Thank you so much. Tourism, as you know, is a very, very important sector in this country. I've been chair of the tourism committee at the Council of Governors. And I thank the Council of Governors for giving me an honor to serve them for the last 8 years, actually. And probably this is because the Masai Mara Game Reserve, which is the jewel in the crown of the Kenyan tourism, actually is in Narok County. For 6 consecutive years, Masai Mara Game Reserve has been declared the best game reserve in the world. You know, better than the Serengeti, better than Kruger in South Africa. I mean, the whole world, we have been the best. And because of that, we have been attracting the best, you know, take off the best billionaires in the world, the richest in the world. They have been coming to the Masai Mara Game Reserve. And because of that, we have definitely been, as a county and as a country, been receiving a lot of foreign currencies in either US dollars or you know, British pounds, or even euros or Australian dollars and so forth, coming to not only Narok, but also the whole country. You know, before, I remember, for example, in the year 2007, because I remember then, I was not even governor. That was one of our best years. Then former President Kibaki then was the president. Then I sat in the board of Mara Conservancy, which was managing part of the Masai Mara Game Reserve. It was one of our best years. A lot of money then was made in the game reserve and the country then. You know, tour companies made a lot of money, hotels and game reserve made so much money, conservancies around the game reserve made so much money, beaches, you know, because when we are doing well, even hotels in Kenya, I mean, everybody makes money, you know, airlines make money, taxis make a lot of money, jobs, there are a lot of jobs, beaches makes money, because when tourists come, even then, not only they fly in, but also we have ships which dock, and beach boys make money and the hotels are filled up, and then they also fly in to the Marano, but also they also fly to Savo, you know, to Sampuru Game Reserve, Amboseli, you know, Lake Naivasha, Lake Nakuru, and so forth. So a lot of money was made. That was just before then, the post-election violence, where we received a setback, you know. But we recovered then, you know, the country recovered. I was still involved in tourism. Then, you know, because to cut the whole story, just to answer your point, then came, you know, the COVID-19. Before then, you know, we had the post-election violence, and then there was the depression. Then, you know, of course it was bad for the sector, but slowly we recovered as a country and as the whole world. Because what happens in the US, you know, when there's depression, it affects us one another. By then, you know, when COVID-19 hit us, you know, that, you know, March, when there was a complete shutdown of the whole world, when the president announced that, you know, no plane is coming to this country, schools were closed, and, you know, there was lockdown, of course, of Nairobi, Mombasa, and all that. You know, really there was total devastation in the whole world, as you know, in Kenya, and of course in the Mara. You know, you can imagine what was happening in Nairobi and the country. So in the Mara, where of course I come from, you go to our lodge and hotels and camps like Masai Mara, like Mara Serena Lodge, complete shutdown. Kichwa Temple, Angama, Mara Safari Club, Old Kiombo, you go to Sarova, you know, 50 rooms, 70 rooms where you only see guards, you know. It looks so bad. And all the staffs are sent home, you know, so no jobs. Normally there are women who do a lot of business, they're selling their beadworks, no income. Normally there are people around the game reserve who do businesses selling either meat to the camps or vegetables. They do some businesses here and there, so no businesses. And of course people around the game reserve earn their income from those businesses, so there's no business. Of course, loss to the country because of a lot of income. As you say, Narok County, almost 90% of our revenue stream is, you know, coming from the game reserve. So zero, almost zero. There's no income. So we lost, as you say, more than 2 billion. That is true. And so we lost a lot of revenue. And of course, as you have said, so loss of revenue, loss of jobs, loss of businesses. As a county government, actually we had, apart from the stimulus, which His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta came with, you know, you remember the stimulus, the packages he came, you know, to try to, you know, help to the economy. As the county government also came, you know, to try to help our people. I had to come up with also some packages to try to help the local people, you know. For the first time, people around the game reserve, I had to go and buy food. You know, they could not even you know, feed themselves. So I had to go and buy maize, I had to go and buy beans, you know, and to just ensure that they at least they could put food on the table. I also had to allow them to, in spite of the, you know, as you remember, we had to close markets because of protocols. We had to adhere to the protocols. But this, in spite of closing the markets, when we open and ensure that we adhere to COVID-19 protocols, we had also, I had to ensure that they don't pay the cess money, just to ensure that we give them an enabling environment for them to continue doing at least some businesses, because, you know, as a way of ensuring that they'll continue putting some food on the table, you know. So, yes, you know, there was a big, you know, loss to the local economy, to Narok. As a chair of the Tourism and Natural Committee, of the Council of Governors, talking now, looking at the whole country. You know, we have never had anything like what had happened when COVID-19 hit this country. There was loss of jobs at the airlines. There was lots of jobs with the whole sector. You know, when you see hotels like Kempiske, Sankara, Intercontinental, Serena, the whole coast shut down. When those people go home, no jobs, they cannot pay rent. Their children, you know, in spite of the cold class, they cannot pay. Of course, if you cannot pay rent, you cannot put food on the table. That means you cannot even pay school fees. It's a very, very, very sad situation to our people, which is so bad. But that is the reality. That also happened. And the people most hit are the service sector, the tourism sector, the transport sector. That's what happened. That's the reality.
Now, talking about Narok County, here you are, you need to push on the residents. As you're saying, you had to even ensure that they have something to put on the table and to feed their families. But we've had also cash crunch where the government is not permitting funds to the counties. How did you survive? Because at the end of the day, you need money to do that. As a county, how did you ensure that you actually have that money? Because you've lost over 2 billion at the same time.
Let me tell you, as a county government, we remain strong. I can assure you that with all those challenges, not one person in Narok County died because of hunger. Not one person. And I can also assure you that with all those challenges, I can almost attest that almost nobody died because virtually nobody slept hungry, I can say. If there was maybe one or two, maybe in very few cases, because, you know, we are very social county, you know, Maasai lifestyle, where we encourage, you know, people live socially within families. You must have seen that, you know, there is no way you can go and eat alone when somebody else is hungry. That's how we are brought up. That's how I'm brought up. So I was able to, apart from the county government, I mobilized, first of all, the leadership, the members of parliament. Of course, I was working with the MCAs, the senator, so we were able to do our bit. And then I was also able to mobilize the lodge and camps, in spite of the fact that they were also hit. But I got support from the business community in the Masai Mara Game Reserve. They came in and gave donations to my office to support those people who are needy. The business community in Narok Town, the Muslim community in Narok Town, a lot of them brought a lot of food stuff to my office to support the needy people. So there was a lot of donation from the people who have. And also, which is a good point, Narok, for your information, in this country, we are the most productive country in terms of food production. We are the most. We feed this country. So in spite of the fact that, yes, there was that challenge, we produce 75% of Kenya's barley. We produce 60% of Kenya's wheat. We produce so much potatoes, so much vegetables, so much milk, so much, of course, you know, a lot of livestock and all that. So in spite of the fact that there was that challenge, luckily we produce so much food, which we are able to sell now at very subsidized rate to those we don't have, you know. So at very cheap prices. In fact, some of the people who are giving to other families almost free of charge. So that's the good thing. You don't like now, you want maize. You are not going to buy it from Transoya. It is there very cheaply. So that's the good thing. The food is available locally at a very cheap price.
Would you say, in terms of trying to salvage and to keeping the tourism industry alive, would you say that domestic tourism somehow softened the blow?
You see, now I was just saying what happened, the effect of maybe the sector. But, you know, when we were hit by COVID then, and the whole, and the president, then there was a lockdown in Nairobi. and therefore nobody could travel. There was nobody, there was a lockdown. When the president then eased the restrictions of travel and allowed people to move out, I can tell you that what has sustained Mara to now is the domestic market. The domestic market in Kenya is big. So a lot of Kenyans themselves are able, the middle class, are able to come to the Mara and fill the market. In fact, when the president removed the restrictions and the lockdown in Nairobi, before the second one, they were able to come to Mara and fill it. You could not get a bed. All the lodges and camps were actually full. The staff, most of the staffs who were sent home then, they were all recalled, I was so happy because they came back. Of course, because the hotels now are full and they were able to be working. The businesses slowly picked up and therefore businesses were able to come back again, which was a good thing. And therefore the business, I can tell you, Naivasha was working again. Mombasa is, working again. In fact, things started picking up very, very well because of the domestic. So as the Council of Governors and working with the Ministry of Tourism, with the CS, Honorable CS Walala, we are working very closely to see how the domestic tourism can be able to be functional. And what we are telling the lodge and camps, especially the Mara, because the way it was fashioned initially was that it was like Mara is supposed to be for only foreigners. So we are telling them, you can see now Mara is sustained by the Kenyans. So we want to tell them that at least let them lower, and I'm happy they listen. Let them lower the prices so that it's affordable. We want the price to be affordable to the local people because they are the one who can sustain especially during such times like when they are hit by the COVID-19. So yes, the domestic market.
There were fears of a fourth wave of COVID-19. If in case that happens, because we were just battling the third wave, how ready are we?
Yeah, and before I answer that question, right now, you remember then the Mara was doing very well, and we are just entering, the Great Migration is just about to come in. And before His Excellency the President there was that lockdown again for Nairobi. Before then, actually there were bookings because of the migration. Actually, Mara was booked for June, July, up to, it was almost 70-80%. And some lots was fully booked for July, August, September, fully booked before the lockdown. But when, of course, there was a lockdown for good reasons, because there was a spike for good reasons. Now, that's where now there was a problem again, because this was for international now. So there was, the international market is very sensitive again. So there was cancellation, and for especially for the international bookings. But of course we understand the reason they had to do that for health reasons. But when the president reopened again, now bookings have started coming in. So we are told now, if nothing happens again, as you are saying now, there is a fourth, whatever, that July, August, now we are still seeing bookings now coming again for the Great Migration. But to answer your question, they are saying again there will be a fourth, I think for us, the good thing about that now, speaking as a governor of Narok, and you see, I think we will not fear that because one, a lot of people now internationally has received the jab. meaning they are strong. You can see now in the US, people are not wearing masks and so forth because they have received. And no, once you have received a jab, you are much better to travel, even if you receive somebody who has got COVID. Here in the country, me, I've already received that. There are a lot of people in Narok who have also got a second jab. Our government is also saying they are waiting for more. So we are going to get a lot of other people come to Narok, for example. We also got a testing. We are going to test people now. And around the Masai Mara Game Reserve also, if you come to all the lodges and camps now, all those staffs who are going to handle people, you know, they have all been tested. So any person any guest who is going to be in the Mara is not exposed. Because all the persons who are handling the wageni, the visitors and so forth, they are all COVID-free. So there is no danger of any person. So that is, for us, we want to encourage all the visitors, either local or international, who are going to visit the Masai Mara Game Reserve, that when you come to the Masai Mara Game Reserve, be assured that whatever lodge or camp you are going to visit, the staff who are going to handle you have been tested and they are COVID-free. And therefore you are not exposed to any COVID person who is, and you be sure that you are not exposed.
Of course, just like you said, we survived after the post-election violence and we are also going to survive after COVID. What do you think should be the way forward in terms of coming up with a very resilient tourism economy after COVID-19? What does the government and also maybe your county and other counties need to do to ensure that post-COVID we have a very resilient economy in tourism?
Okay, that's a good question. You see, as a county government, what we have been doing is through our Department of Tourism. You see, we already have a very excellent product, the Masai Mara, having been declared the best game reserve for many years, although we are competing with other game reserves. You remember that Her Excellency the President of Tanzania was here, and I had requested our president to request her to allow for an immigration post to be open at a place called Sun River, so that tourists from Mara and Serengeti can be going to Serengeti directly, and to go to Serengeti, and also Serengeti can come. That way we can up the game, so that the tourists can be able to either go to Serengeti and those Serengeti from come here. That's a way of boosting tourism in the region. And we already have a good product as a country, but looking now as the country and the region, we have one of the best products in the country. Look at the Mara, look at the Great Migration, look at the beaches, look at Amboseli, look at Mount Kenya, look at the Lake Naivasha, look at Marsabit, look at Lake Turkana. We have good products. So looking forward, we need to ensure that these products, are well developed. We need to market them properly because we are competing. And we need to ensure that our hotels, are well modernized. What is the tourist looking at? Because we are competing also. We need well-trained staff, Those are the things we need to have to look at in order to compete with South Africa, to compete with Egypt, to compete with Europe and all that. There are so many things we need to have to look at to ensure that we position ourselves to be the best, because we are to be the best, not only in the region, but the whole world. There are so many things we can do and ensure that the tourists see Kenya as the best place to come for holiday. And these are the things we have been doing. Look at our culture, the Maasai culture, the coastal culture, you know, the Western culture, the Turkana culture. This is some of the things that the people are looking for in the whole world to come and see. So we need to diversify some of our products for which the people, the world is looking for to come and see. Yeah, we must diversify.
Nice. Going lastly, as we move on to other things, maybe, what on an individual level, as the governor of Narok County, what are your future plans for your people, for the result?
Yeah, for me, first of all, just to thank the people of Narok for giving me an opportunity for the 2 consecutive times to be their governor. And my my priority now is to ensure that I complete all the development projects which I had promised them and which I'm working on them to ensure my county integrated development plan is implemented to the letter, and that all the projects, all the programs which I've started are complete. That's what I'm working on now. You know, when I complete all the projects, that will be my goal, to ensure that they're all done. You know, once that is done, then that's my fulfillment. When you promise people that this is what I've done, when you have a CIDP which is implemented, then you get satisfaction of that this is what you promise and this is what is done. Then you get satisfied, you know. So for me, that's what is in my plan now. Definitely, with God's help, that's what I want to do. Florence.
Yeah. I know we'll be coming along to just check the development that you're doing.
Yeah, please.
But I would also want to know, other than tourism, you're doing very well in agriculture. Let's talk about dairy and also your input on what has happened and the changes that have happened at the Kenya Meat Commission, now that you guys are also doing very well in that industry.
Yeah, thank you so much. I must take this opportunity to thank His Excellency the President, Uhuru Kenyatta. He has done so much to the country. But I just want to pick on the Kenya Meat Commission. You know, we are pastoralists as pastoral communities living in semi-arid land, who live in almost half of this country, who depend on cattle and sheep and goats. So that's actually our coffee and tea and sugarcane as other people depend on sugarcane. We depend on these. And for a long time, you know, all successive governments have tried, you know. That's why Kenya Meat Commission was actually established, to be a coffee and tea and whatever for the for these communities, for the Somali, for the Maasai, for all these people living in semi-arid people. And it has failed. There's no question about it. It has failed. But for the first time, because I was there when they opened, when His Excellency the President decided that let the military run, you know, it got some resistance from some people, including guys who have gone to court. But I've been there myself, and I can tell you nothing can be further from the truth. KMC now is one of those institutions which is functioning, which is working, and is going to transform the economy of the people of the pastoral communities in this country. You know, you don't need to know anybody. You don't need to bribe anybody. Just take your cow. I saw the demonstration that day of this Samburu man who put his cattle in railway in Nanyuki. And the cows were brought to KMC, came out, then put it in it was a scale. It is measured. The kilos are very clear. And then, you know, you just multiply by an amount. You get a receipt. Then from there, they said it's multiplied automatically by an amount. Then from that slip, you don't talk to anybody. You go. Then within 72 hours, you know, you go to Samburu, the money is in the account to which you have given out within 72 hours. You know, because we have so many cows which normally die when the drought comes. You know, and you know, this is the business which we know. This is what our young people know. This is the trade which we know. So, for me, I think the president has done so much to this community now, and you are going to see that wealth is going to be created, jobs are going to be created, and now we are going to I'm calling upon the pastoral communities living in this country for them to now know that Kenya Meat Commission is not what they knew. I know many people have been thinking that maybe it's the same thing. No. Now KMC is a different thing altogether. And that I've seen it myself, and that they should know now that it's a different entity, it's well run, it's functional, it's for them, go and do business. And it's not only for the pastoral, it's for all Kenyans. Go and do business there. And they told me they can handle any amount because it's a business. They can now do canned beef. When I was there, because they can handle any kind of meat, including the corned beef, they told me those beef, they were importing it from Japan, the corned beef. Now they are producing it there, So, I mean, it's really a shame with all the cattle we have that we are importing some of those corned beef from other countries. So right now we have a well-run and managed organization which is going to buy all the cattle in this country and do value addition, because that's what they're doing, and there is a market locally and international. And therefore the pastoral people who happen to own a lot of cattle now have where to take their cattle and earn income, and therefore they are able now to take their families to the next level.
Thank you so much, Bwana Governor.
Asante sana.
Tunashukuru for your time.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
God bless you.
All right, you've heard it from the governor. Well, he's very optimistic that Kenya has survived a lot, and even after COVID-19, the tourism industry is going to blossom once more. Of course, we'll be following on the development that is happening in Narok County, courtesy of Governor Tunai, and we'll keep you up to speed now that even the community is going to be very happy with what is happening at the Kenya Meat Commission. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.